Tim Costello for Builder Innovator, and we are back at CES 2025.
Wow, and it's been like a decade
Crazy.
or so of coming to the show.
It's a 4-day show. There's going to be about 140 or 50,000 people here from 170 countries all over the world, touring millions of square feet of displays with over 4,000 different companies displaying their products. It's going to be overwhelming. And before the public show, there's 2 days of press events. And we've been lucky enough to spend 2 days immersed in CES, talking to companies, talking to people at the Consumer Technology Association. And we kind of going to give you the inside scoop and a first look at what have we learned thus far in the media days from CES 2005. And I'm going to start just kicking off here. Obviously, and this is probably obvious even to the listeners out there, this is the year for AI everywhere, everything and everybody. I mean, you basically cannot be a company anymore unless you say you're an AI company. It doesn't matter if you have hardware, software, services, doesn't matter if you're in transportation, housing, healthcare, hearing aids, you're an AI. But I kind of saw a bifurcation. While everybody says they're an AI, I saw some of the players that have been now playing with AI for many years really starting to come out with some advanced, meaningful uses for AI. And then, of course, last night at Jensen Huang's keynote address, who was the CEO of NVIDIA, he really put the pedal to the metal, showing the power of the new AI processors and the AI infrastructure that is going to truly fundamentally change everything about engineering, marketing, creative sciences, just about every occupation in the world. And he really went in a deep dive into how the technology there is going to change, really change life on this planet.
Yeah. It was overwhelming in a way. I mean, it was just crazy in terms of the artistic ability and this processing speed or how fast. There's a rendering time.
Inside our digital twin. Everything here is generated by AI.
I think bringing some of that back into the housing, you go, AI, who cares? We build houses. But we do care. I mean, AI is bringing hearing aids, right, to the housing industry that will allow us to not hear all of the bad noises and only hear the things that need to alert us to danger on the job site or to be able to communicate with our peers. They'll be able to auto-translate our voice to any other language so that we can effectively communicate with our teams. It will allow us to do cloud point scanning of our developments and our lots and create digital twins of our construction process so we can optimize the entire production process.
It will allow us to very affordably create very high-end videos and artistic pieces for marketing, but for pennies, not $50,000. Really cheap.
And NVIDIA last night demonstrated a new graphic processor that allows you to instantly do V-Ray light tracing in real time. So no rendering time at all. Incredibly complex scenes. So gone are the days where you take your models and you send them to a graphics design company and they spend weeks figuring out how to create interior scenes. Literally, you'll be able to take your CAD model and instantly be able to render it in any color, texture, design, and capability. And you can do it on site. And think how that would change design centers and sales centers.
Yeah, and I think that's like a unique portion of being here at CES, especially taking into account for the smart home industry and the home building industry, is that these technologies are impacting directly affordability, accessibility, sustainability. Even in NVIDIA's keynote last night, I thought one of the most interesting parts was how using AI and advancing AI took the top of the line product and is now able to offer that at half the price.
Yeah, they showed last night, if you remember, they showed a box, literally, it was probably 6 inches by 6 inches, probably 2 inches thick. It was literally this big. And it was a supercomputer that is 1,000 times more powerful than your PC, that you can now rip your PC out, place it on your desk, run your monitor, and you have a supercomputer.
And the crazy thing is the old version of that, same size, but because of how advanced they've increased their technology, that old one is now this big.
Yes, it's on a chip. It's one chip.
And it costs, I think, a third times less.
Right.
And then they were able to put it in like the base model of the laptop.
They actually stuck it in a laptop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we all can rule the world from our home office. That's what I walked away with.
But yeah, you mentioned a few things about this is going to make living better, and you mentioned aging, and that's a huge theme here at CES. I think aging in place and embedding technology into the home to allow people to safely live in their preferred living environment for a longer period of time, that is clearly a theme. We're seeing fall detection, remote monitoring of vital signs. We're seeing robotic assistance, social assistance.
But I do think there is a theme. It's not just aging in place, but it's actually technology makes things more accessible for people with disabilities, which sometimes aging in place are a challenge. And it was interesting on one panel today, I heard them talk about the two users of caregiver products, right? So you have products that the users aging in place, living in their home, but there's usually a caregiver also attached.
And could be remote.
Yes, remote caregiver, important word, and they can actually monitor and help.
Right.
And it's interesting to see this on a global scale and how aging in place is different from one country to the next. So there's a French product who had actually reached out for coverage, and they have taken the landline and connected that to video conferencing. So now when, your parents or whoever it is, they pick up the phone and they dial it on the landline, it is now getting connected via a way of
WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah, but
But they don't have to log into Zoom or figure out all of that. It just connects, makes it easy for them.
And I think that's the unique part about technology in the day and age we are. We were talking about how people were kind of afraid of AI, or everything's going digital, everything's going touchscreen. We're actually seeing people starting to pull back a little bit and finding this healthy medium, because accessibility, especially in aging in place, comes from haptic feedback. It comes from the ability of meeting people where they are with technology and then advancing, the opposite side of the coin.
The big shift I saw this year from last year was there was a lot of fear and trepidation and that's cool, but what would I possibly do with it? And is this going to replace jobs and all this, anxiety? This year, I'm not hearing that. What I'm hearing is people are having amazing use cases, success stories, that we could go on and on about, and they're not seeing jobs disappear. They're not seeing that. What they're seeing is an enabling of giving tools to more people to get more done. Right? So it's kind of like with any evolution of technology, we think, oh, well, that's going to get rid of this job. It actually doesn't. It just changes.
Good application of technology. I'm sure we'll do a short on it later. Was the holographic manager, the holographic assistant. So, in the housing industry right now, we know that one, we don't have enough sales personnel to have in every single model home and every sales center all the time for every client. Many builders are actually centralizing at a regional basis sales, so they don't even have on-site salespeople. This allows you to create a digital twin of your actual sales personnel. So you have a digital model of each salesperson. And when somebody walks into one of your sales homes, it immediately identifies that there's a new customer walking in, and into your holographic box walks your digital twin and greets your customer.
Can they make my digital twin a little taller?
Well, you probably could.
Thinner and.
But the point is to have reality, that you're connecting people. It's a real person. You can see them. You can see them in a 3D form, in their full height, right? And that salesperson, though, may not actually even be in the office. That salesperson could be remote working from another state. They could be in their pajamas at home. But the digital twin, as they start talking to the client that's walked in the model home, the digital twin will be in the uniform, right? Will look perfectly coiffed and dressed, and all of their mannerisms and movements and facial movements and head movements will be appropriate for what they're saying.
Right.
Yeah. And the best part about that is that it actually is not taking away jobs. It is actually taking your employee base and making the strain
More productive.
Yeah, more productive, but also taking off that strain of having to go to every single home or every single model or every travel.
If we can even find them tired, right?
Yeah.
But
I thought that was a really great application. Simple application, but it requires a ton of technology. You have to have a digital twin. It means you have to have AI. You got to be able to render this. You got to have realistic, lifelike motions and facial expressions.
Right.
Lots of technology. But the simple issue is I can have fewer salespeople, and I can meet and greet and interact with every single customer on a human level. I think that's that's an incredible opportunity.
It is. And what's interesting to me is as all of this stuff evolves, and as home builders, sometimes we kind of pretend like we're isolated from what consumers expect. So they get this with their retailers, they get all this fancy stuff, and they get holograms and great visual content, and then they come into our industry, and sometimes we're not great at that. But I think those expectations are raising. One panelist, I need to fact check it, so I'm just kind of repeating. They said for the first time, Google was less than 50% of searches. So people are not texting, typing in text.
No, they use TikTok. They use TikTok.
They're using visual search. And what one panelist said in our retail panel was that shopping is way up, right? There's lots more shopping. Sales are not necessarily up. But we're really getting into the shopping experience, but we want visual, we want interactive experiences, and we're just spending more time doing that than we are in that buying experience.
All right, well, I'm going to pivot the conversation. All right, I'm going to pivot the conversation to major, huge global brands and how they're beginning to focus on the home. And you go, oh, great, that's wonderful. Oh, no, I think this is going to be super disruptive, right? Now, on the other hand, I like what they're thinking. If you go to LG, they've been on this path for several years. They're trying to create basically labor-free living. They're trying to create an ecosystem of technology in the home that allows us to live in a home in a much different way, where the home really assists us rather than being a burden of work and tasks and things and always feeling overwhelmed. The home is actually a support network of smart connected devices that make my life better in every aspect.
Electricity use was reduced 60% last night through appliance power control.
Oh, okay. Any news during the night?
I heard Ethan coughing a few times while he was sleeping. Maybe it was the cooler weather last night, but I went ahead and raised the temperature in his room 5 degrees during the night. He had no trouble sleeping afterwards.
We saw that from Samsung. We're seeing even TCL and Hisense beginning to migrate and move into this as well. And we're seeing some pretty serious partnerships. So we're seeing LG, and I think it was in Microsoft.
We are joining forces to shape the future of AI-powered spaces.
Google and TCCL, I think it was, merging together. So we're seeing some huge mergers there. And even LG launched a product called Smart Cottages, where they actually are providing the entire home. And I think there's a bit of frustration here. And the frustration is these technology companies have all these products that, when linked together and when while working together, can truly provide a different lifestyle. But the problem is that in the building space, we don't offer that kind of integrative solution. We have a piecemeal of different brands and different products and gadgets, and they're not connected together. The fear we have is if we, as an industry, don't be able to figure out how to curate these integrated experiences, then somebody else may curate them for us, and we can see ourselves cut out of the equation.
We're just a commodity. Right.
Yeah.
Just
and it's, we talked about this, is when you listen to some of these keynotes and you're listening to how AI can improve your life, a lot of times they seem marginal when presented in piecemeal, right? It's a lot because it's just making it more comfortable to live, and we've been living already for so long that my comfort doesn't seem as great. However, when you see some of these stories play out, the way that they design these keynotes, especially Samsung, I think the way that they took the smart home, how that goes outside the home, how that goes and travels with you, how that goes to your businesses, how that goes to your other vehicles, and then how it comes back into your home. I think when you see the whole system play out in 5-10 years, once this is further tested, further proved, I wouldn't be surprised if they started to offer the whole thing as one push, rather than trying to get into the ecosystem at one
piece at a time.
Yeah.
Because the problem is the one piece at a time, the incrementalization approach, doesn't actually yield the system impact of labor-free living, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're really focused on how can we make a technology ecosystem such that it is simply a better way to live.
right.
If I was going to summarize this for builders, human augmentation to extend our workforce and allow our workers to work longer, which could really help the huge labor problem we have in our industry. Autonomy, creating all kinds of autonomous robots and autonomous equipment. We met with Caterpillar, John Deere. Clearly autonomous equipment is coming for site preparation and those kind of works. Human augmentation is coming for our labor. The ecosystem of products within the home to create this kind of labor-free enhanced living is just a huge issue. And then a slew of technologies for marketing and sales to better content, better personalized experiences,
Better
remote
retail.
experiences, better retail. I would say that those, to me, were the key themes that builders need to be aware of in 2025.